I don't know if I meant to say this or not, but we use and as like our muses. So we're like,
right. So
always,
they're the inspiration.
kind of, yeah. Well, like whenever we design something, we'll look at them and be like, okay, hey, would these guys wear it? Cheers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bevs with Celebs. I'm your host, Lauren Muir, and today we have the creative force behind 5 by Flynn, Louie Collins. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're in the 5 by Flynn office.
Yes. Oh, the store in Paddington. Our office is upstairs, and then the store's downstairs. We got this courtyard out the back. It's an old Paddington terrace. We have events out the back in that courtyard, so it kind of is multi-purpose, which is nice.
And we also have the 5 by Flynn hats behind us.
Yeah.
Bit of free promo.
Exactly. A few new ones there, and thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Oh, good. And in the spirit of fashion, what are you wearing today?
So I've got these denim jeans on. We've just brought out. It's the first time we've launched denim before. We did it in a women's version as well, and then some Puma shoes. We've been doing a fair bit of work with them. They're kind of smashed up because I've been wearing them heaps. This acid wash t-shirt that's coming out probably in about 2 weeks, which is kind of cool. And then this leopard print hat. So we're doing this fashion week party, or end of fashion week party, which we do every year at the Plaza Hotel. And we've made this hat for the guests to go. So we'll give it to them there and it won't be for sale. And we're putting it in this vending machine with Red Bull. And I think it'll be a pretty cool experience for people getting them, I mean.
And I was just saying, it's one of my favourite items I've seen from 5 by Flynn.
I'm very flattered. Unfortunately, it's not for sale, but now after hearing you say that a few times and the response we've gotten from other people, we might have to put them on sale. But the other team members are like, no, Louie, you've got to make it more exclusive for people. So just to kind of make people feel special that get it as well, who have come to the event. But
something similar maybe in future?
Exactly. Maybe something like that.
And so you're also known for the classic dad cap, which I see around Bondi all the time.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of the works behind 5 by Flynn, you grew up in Clovelly.
Yeah.
What was your childhood like?
So I have I have 5 siblings. So I'm the oldest of those 6 kids. All of them very creative. My parents, like they push us all to kind of, I guess, follow our own journey and do what we want. And which I think is, the older I get, the more I realize and the more grateful I am for doing that. Like we all went to different high schools and kind of went down our own path, which is really nice. So yeah, I had a great childhood, very creative, lots of art around the house. And yeah, just very supportive parents. Pushing me and my siblings to kind of do what we want, and yeah, very grateful for that. And you don't kind of realize that until you get a little bit older, I think, which I don't think you're meant to know that when you're growing up, but yeah, very grateful for the childhood that I had.
Yeah, and you mentioned that one of your siblings works for 5 by Flynn.
Yep, so Eloise, my sister, she's the third in the family. She works full-time here. Her role is brand manager, I think, or brand lead. She just kind of helps me run the business a lot and do everything that I need help with. And yeah, she's a great asset. And then also my other brother Chester, he's got this artwork in here. You obviously can't see it on camera, but there's some ceramics around if you've ever been to the store, which lots of people ask for. And then also my other brother Orlando, he you can see the rings there on that orange thing over there. He's recently just put those in there. So yeah, everyone's kind of doing their own thing, which is cool. And it's cool to have a space that we can bring it all together and yeah.
And they actually caught my eye when I was setting up in here.
The rings?
The rings,
oh,
yeah.
I actually usually wear one, but I left it in the shower. So, but yeah, they're really cool. And he's young as well. He's only like 17. So I think he's on the path to do some great things.
Yeah. Were you always creative growing up, and were you encouraged to be creative? Because it seems like it's a trend in the family.
Yeah. I don't think I really was. I always wanted to do my own things, especially getting like later in school. I don't know like if I was the best at art or anything like that, but I enjoyed those things. And then because when I left school, like kind of how I started down this journey in fashion, I used to have a few events companies. So my parents used to let us have these big events. So a few of my friends are up and coming DJs, and mum and dad would let us have these big parties at the house called Dan's Ave, and we'd kind of like host our friends who were DJs. And after we did that a few times, a venue reached out in Sydney called The Island, and we had a few parties on there, and that kind of like started my journey into running a business. And I think music and events and fashion, they're all kind of intertwined. So yeah, that was kind of my taste into, I think, being more creative rather than maybe me being at school. But yeah, and then one thing led to another. Here I am.
And the brand started where you first had the idea of releasing 5 pieces a week and then it turned to a month.
Yeah, that's actually, it feels like a long time ago now. But so I originally wanted to make these button-up shirts. They're called camp collar shirts, and I probably wasn't shopping at the right places. That's why I couldn't find any of them, but couldn't find any. And I'd already had these events companies, and I'm like, I was at uni and I didn't want to keep going down the path of running these events. I don't know why. I just didn't want that. And then this kind of popped up, and I was like, I don't even know why it started as 5. I just thought in my mind that was a good number and a good achievable number. And we were going to a lot of festivals at the time, and we'd always kind of wear that style of shirt, like a printed button-up shirt. So I thought, like you said, I was like, okay, 5 a week, we'll do that. And then I realized that was pretty impossible to do. I was like, okay, maybe 5 a month, and that was impossible. I was like, okay, maybe 5 every like season or whatever, every 3 months. So that's kind of where it started, and it all originally got made in Australia that first time. So I would go to the fabric store in wherever in Surrey Hills or something, and then drive it to a pattern maker out in the sticks, and then take it back to these manufacturers, and they wouldn't really, I don't know, I kind of got laughed at a few places at the time. But
Why was that?
just like I was young and the quantities I wanted were small, and I didn't really know anything about garment making or anything like that. So it was a good learning experience, and it also kind of like fuels the fire a little bit, especially early on. Like I think from people doubting you for what you're doing, because a lot of people would tell me not to do that, as in not to start the brand or whatever. Not so much the people close to me, just like random people that I'd come across saying it's very hard. But at that time, that would really fuel the fire to kind of want to do it even more and prove those people wrong. So yeah, and then one thing led to another, and learned a bit more and found different manufacturers and started growing women's wear. And I think it's taken a long time now. Like the business is kind of 5 years old from originally that inception. But yeah.
And that's one part of the name. So the 5 part, but Flynn, is that your brother?
I do have a brother called Flynn, and then my girlfriend Maddie and her friend Izzy. We were just kind of chatting at the time, and I wanted, I just looked at fashion brands, and I thought I wanted something like you look at Louis Vuitton or Chanel or anything like that, like they're all actual people. So and Fired by Louis doesn't really sound that good, and I didn't really want to name it after myself. So yeah, the girls kind of came up with that. And I happened to have a brother called Flynn, and it worked with alliteration, and yeah, it kind of went from there. And also it's kind of nice having this made up character that you can kind of make up any stories about, and and then it's evolved from there.
I've seen a lot of promo tags about who is Flynn.
Yeah, we're kind of rolling with that now because
yeah, I love it.
I think it's just good for marketing it, and yeah, going down that path, it seems to be working.
And do you remember the first time you sold out an item?
Sold out an item. I can't remember an exact one. Early on, like we wouldn't have made that many pieces, so those kind of pieces would sell out a little bit. But definitely our hats. Like we were talking about the hats before. I don't even know why we started putting, like the one with the 5 on the front. I don't even know why we started making it. Obviously, it's Fired by Flynn, but then we were going to stop making them because, I don't know, just didn't really like them at the time. But then they've kind of picked up so much momentum now, and hats are such a core item of what we're offering now, and even doing stuff like this. And I think it's just such a also great marketing piece as well, because you have everyone, like you said, you see people down in Bondi. It's not free marketing, but it's yeah. Just helps the brand grow a lot awareness wise.
And this is probably a big question, but what does the process look like when making a hat or a collection?
Hats are pretty simple now because we just know what we want, and we deal with a great factory now, and we've kind of got that all sorted. But in terms of a collection, it's only recently just gotten a lot more structured. So now, because we've just got an amazing team, like I originally, when I was all designing it all, I think the designs have gotten a lot better since I've stopped really doing it now. But we're kind of working like 4 to 6 months in advance now. We'll do some research have a look at what Europe's doing because they're always a little bit in front of us. Any themes, like we always use, I don't know if I meant to say this or not, but we use Loyal Kana and Dua Lipa as like our muses. So we're like,
Right. So they're
always
the inspiration.
kind of, yeah. Well, like whenever we design something, we'll look at them and be like, okay, hey, would these guys wear it? You know who Loyal Kana is, the rapper. He's like this English rapper. He's really cool. And then obviously you know who Dua Lipa is, but
Yeah.
I think everyone does. But yeah, we'll kind of we'll think, okay, would maybe that person wear it? And then it's also, you want to try and offer some things to your first time customers as well, who maybe want something a little bit more basic, but then maybe there might be like 1 in 20 people or something like that who want a bit more of a trend piece or a bit more out there. So it's kind of like finding that balance between those things. Yeah, that's kind of how it is now. And we'll have a group discussion on what we're thinking. Eleni, our designer, she's so talented. And then my sister as well, she helps a lot with it, kind of what they're thinking, more so with the women's wear, because I think the women's wear, it's not really my forte, but
Does Eleni work on Australian Idol?
no.
Really? I've met
Maybe.
another fashion designer or
Maybe she
fashion
does, I don't know.
stylist.
Maybe she's moonlighting on Australian Idol, I don't know.
No, I'm sure she's not if you don't know about it.
No,
But
that's
there's another
that would be
Eleni
fun.
out there.
That'd be funny if she was on Australian Idol. I have no idea. But yeah, no, I don't think so. But yeah, she's really talented.
Yeah. What are your predictions for
Fashion.
this winter that's come from summer in Europe?
It's hard as well to follow, just like thinking about like what's coming from Europe and stuff. It's also hard like to follow those trends as well. Like it's something that I don't think we can do anyway because we're still a small business, so it's hard to kind of even jump on those things. But I feel like knitwear is really popular at the moment. We've only brought out one, and we had knitwear last year as well, but yeah, I feel like knitwear, camo's everywhere now. I feel like camo's popping off. But like I even saw we're doing this thing with Rusty soon in October, and they just brought out the sickest camo stuff. It should actually arrive today. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah,
like
knitwear.
Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Knitwear and camo stuff, which I think camo's kind of already here, but I think it's going to just continue to grow more and more.
I've also seen a lot of leopard print. Like
yeah,
what you've got on
leopard's
the
actually
hat
exactly.
too.
Leopard print's starting to pop off, which is nice. So hopefully we can get in before the trend. That girl actually was just wearing a leopard print skirt.
Really?
They just walked past.
That's
there you
crazy.
Go. There you go.
The universe working in wonderful ways.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was looking in the coming soon page
Oh,
on
yeah.
5 by Flynn. So is there a new drop?
Yeah, so we're trying to. Well, this is the plan. Every month we're launch. So we'll split the year up into the 4 seasons, and then every month we'll launch just smaller collections because I just think we used to do kind of bigger drops every few months, and then we do a shoot, spend all this money on it, and then people's attention spans are pretty quick. So the content would kind of become irrelevant after 2 or 3 weeks, or not irrelevant, but they just wouldn't have the same impact. So we're just trying to do more drops, less of each product, more shoots, but just in a smaller scale. So it's just new content all the time because, yeah, you got to be pumping out a lot. And there's so many competitors now that you always want to be kind of doing something fresh and new to capture people's attentions.
Can you share any details on the next drop?
Yeah. So we just did a shoot. What day is it today? Wednesday. We did a shoot on Monday, I think. Yep, Monday. It's just kind of like this track grace that we're doing. Obviously going on with that 05 thing on the front, like a varsity kind of look. We've done it a few times before, but got a grey jumper, some trackies, kind of just like loungy wear that's and then this shirt. Honestly, it's pretty basic stuff because it's just getting a bit colder and we haven't really brought out any, I guess, lounge wear in so long. So kind of wanted to bring it back in this grey, and we shot it in this elevator actually in my house, which was cool. So yeah, all that stuff will probably start coming out in the next few weeks. We just do this fashion week thing, wait for that to go, and then we kind of need to plan our content a little bit more now because it used to be so fast and loose. It kind of is a little bit still fast and loose, but
that's the best way to do it.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, all that stuff will probably start coming out next week maybe. So I was just waving at someone.
Do you know them?
Yeah, they're actually from 1 Mile because we did something with them, you know, Sammy's friend. Yeah, they're doing a sale just up on the corner.
Sammy Robinson.
Yeah, that was their team that just walked past.
Very nice. And so you obviously were an event organizer through Dan's Ave.
Yeah.
And you're now known for throwing Friends of Flynn parties.
Yeah.
What was your first party like?
It was really good. So it was pretty much to launch the brand and those 5 shirts that I did, or that we did, the brand, just down at Vaucluse, like at this sailing club. It was actually really, really cool. It was an all-white party. I think that kind of like kicked off the brand a lot because it helps that I worked in events before, but I always say this to people, like it's such a good tool to use to bring people together, get people to talk about your brand. Usually
for hours on end.
Hopefully, I think word of mouth marketing is really, really strong. And then now we've got great relationships with alcohol brands, and there was a few that at that time who actually we hadn't really done anything, but they gave us some free stock for it, and yeah, that one was really fun. And then we've kind of just gone and done lots more after that, and I'm a lot more experienced now in doing it and have great relationships with not only like venues and those alcohol companies, and just also people. Like we've kind of built up hopefully a bit of a name for ourselves, so it's easier to get people to come to them now.
Very cool. And speaking of alcohol brands, I have a better beer for you. So you're right over here today. So thank you to
Thanks, Better Beer.
Better Beer.
I'll have a sip. Even though it's...
We're doing ASMR into the mic.
Shout out to the boys.
Shout out to Jack and Falcon.
Cheers.
Who run the brand. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Ooh.
Thanks for coming on.
Beer, perfect.
Yeah, perfect way to start the day. What is one of the craziest moments you've had at a Friends of Flynn event?
The craziest moment? Fuck. I reckon not so much, I don't know if there's one kind of crazy moment, but these fashion week parties that we've done in the past, like they've just gotten so busy. It's at a different venue this year, but yeah, they would just be so chockers that like people can't even get into them. And we also got this, I think it might have been like 2 years ago, we got this Daft Punk tribute kind of guys. So they were all dressed up, and that was a pretty cool moment. I think for stuff like that, you want to get moments where people can, actually, the craziest thing was when we had this event in London. That's what it was. So last year we did, and it would have been around this time last year, actually. I was traveling overseas to Europe, and I was like, I just kind of wanted to put an event on over there, and that there wasn't one moment in that event, but just to be in a whole nother country and like the place was packed. It was so fun. And it was under this kebab store called Lebab. They have this like underground thing, and like it was just a really, really fun event, and I'd love to be able to do something there again. But yeah, that's probably the craziest time, because just being in another city and having it so busy over there and just showing, it was obviously a lot of Australians there because a lot live over there, but yeah, probably that one.
And I'm sure being over in a different country, different city brings it to life in a new way.
Definitely.
And brings the brand to life in a new way. Have you ever had to kick anyone out of an event, or are they pretty tame?
Oh, I haven't personally, but I'm sure the venue owners have had to do that. Yeah, if it's at a venue, then it's kind of got nothing really to do with me. But yes, definitely. I think there's definitely been some people kicked out of the parties before.
And so,
not me though. Not me.
That's great. That's great to know.
I'm well behaved.
I guess you've got to be, because you're semi-running it.
Yeah, exactly. Got to be my best behaviour.
And so you have a lot of influencers come into these events.
Yeah.
Where did you originally reach out to them?
So honestly, mainly just Instagram. And I think once you have, especially early on, it's a lot easier now because we're established and we've got an all right following on Instagram and we've had these things before. So, but I think early on, just reaching out to them on Instagram. And then once they come and like, let's say you meet them and you have a good time with them, or at least they have a good time, like it just becomes a lot easier over time. Like we've been doing this for, let's say, 5 years now. So, originally we would have got a lot less than, let's say, like what we've got coming on Friday to this event. So, yeah, honestly, mainly just Instagram. And then you meet them in person, then they're nice people. They think you're nice as well. And you just kind of build a bit more of a personal connection rather than just online, which I think's really important. And it makes people want to come more as well to something because it's not just some random brand hitting them up. Like they've actually met me or they've met the team. And yeah, it makes them have a bit more of a personal connection to it. Because these people, a lot of these people would get hit up all the time by brands. So you want to make sure, I think, especially if you're smaller, you want to really make sure that, which I think bigger companies, like massive companies, they struggle into having that good community connection because they're just such a big corporate brand. So we've even had other brands hit us up recently, just who are much bigger than us, kind of wanting to work with us because they want to kind of partner with us and have that same connection that we kind of have just because we're small and we're up and coming. I think it's just it just naturally happens. And it's a lot more difficult for those bigger companies because they've been around for so long and like it's the founder's not going to be there because like they're much older and they've been around for 20 plus years. So, yeah, mainly just Instagram. The world's so small at the moment. Like you can reach out to anyone.
And you've obviously built that community and you've become friends with people like Jack and Falcon from the Inspired Unemployed, who we mentioned earlier, who are also the founders of Better Beer.
Yeah.
And you've also done a collaboration with Jack.
Yeah.
And it was a sushi themed collaboration. How did that come about with the collection that you made?
So I met those boys years ago. Like I actually met Falks at that first ever event I did. They were pretty small at the time and I just kind of hit them up on Instagram, said I'd love you to come to this thing, and he ended up coming, which is nice. Met him there and then met Jack over like that year after and just became good mates to them and that kind of crew. We were talking about Callum before. So that's kind of how we became mates to them. And they've obviously gone to complete stardom after that. But and the stuff came with Jack because would have been not last year, the year before. We were training for this I think they spoke about it on their podcast. They were training for this marathon and I was doing it as well with them and we were just kind of running together all the time. And he's just this is Jack, like he's just a really lovely guy. And he's like, I'd love to be able to help you grow the business more. And he obviously knows that the power that they have and the reach that they have. So he's like, yeah, let's do a collection together. And with the sushi stuff, we'll kind of just text you one day. He's like, I was just asking what he likes and like what maybe we can get some inspiration for it. And it's somewhere in the marketing, but it's pretty much him just texting me saying I fucking love sushi and
I think I saw that.
Yeah, we kind of took that literally and made some pieces. And then there's that camo hat that we did with him as well, which is like we get so many messages for it and I think he does as well. So maybe we'll bring it back one day. But yeah, that's kind of how that came about. And then at the time we had a store, would have been like June or July last year, in Bondi, just a pop-up store down there. So we did an event down there with him and yeah, very grateful. He's such a good person. All of that crew are. So yeah.
Would you ever have a Falcon range?
Oh, sure. Maybe I don't even know if he'd want to do that. He's a pretty stylish guy. So I don't know if we'd be up to his level for it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They're pretty busy guys. So we'll see if we can get some time from them and try something like that.
And you recently collaborated with Glassons also.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did that kick off?
Come about. So it would have been the start of last year. Their PR company hit me up and said, hey, we'd love to do this. I knew the girl at the PR company. And then the CEO, James, who's a great guy, he lives just down the road in Paddington. So think he'd seen the brand around and they wanted to give a smaller business the opportunity to, I guess, partner with them and allow them to grow. And I think, and that, so originally we started the design maybe it would have been like February last year to launch in July. And yeah, that was just like a crazy experience because they invited us into their office I had a different designer at the time, Holly. They invited us into their office in Bondi, and I just remember the first meeting sitting down and there was maybe like 10 of their staff there, and they just said, "Hey guys, what do you want to do?" They were so open to our ideas, and yeah, it was a true collaborative process, I think, because they really allowed us to bring our ideas to life, not kind of telling us what to do.
So they gave you full creative control?
Yeah, and they'd obviously like help and point us in the right direction because it was going in all their stores. So they knew kind of what their customer would want or want more. But they let us kind of do what we want. And then I had that idea to go over to New Zealand because they're originally from there in the South Island. So flew a team over there and we actually used Jack's girlfriend, Eden. So that was kind of cool having.
And she was modelling?
She was modelling, and then Jack Sapono was their videographer was shooting the kind of campaign behind the scenes thing. That was the first because we've started shooting a lot more vlogs now. That was kind of our first vlog style video to show behind the scenes a little bit more on what goes on with the brand, which is cool. But now we do it heaps, and I wish I did it earlier because I think it's really good, even just for myself or the team to look back on, because things move pretty fast. So.
And so you had Jack Sapono shooting?
Yeah, and then there was a New Zealand photographer over there who they flew down from Auckland, I think. Sarah, she was really cool, and yeah, that was such a fun period of my life. And then we got to stay in New Zealand after for a few days. My girlfriend flew over, and yeah, we all stayed together. It was fun.
So nice. Was it near Queenstown area?
Yeah, it was all in Queenstown. We shot it all around there. I'd never been there before. Now I've been there a couple of times, but yeah, one of my favorite places on earth, I think. Very beautiful.
Yeah, I went to the South Island and visited Queenstown and it was so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It honestly reminded me of the North Pole or something.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like this tiny little town.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Have you been skiing or snowboarding?
Over there?
Yeah.
We went for one day when I was there on that on that Glassons trip, but it was, I think it was pretty early on in the season, so, or maybe late. No, it would have been early in the season, so there was there wasn't that much snow, but we still checked it out.
So gorgeous. And do you have a dream collab?
We talked to Puma a lot. Like that would be pretty amazing to do something with them. Recently had a meeting with Oakley, which would be pretty cool.
That'd be so cool.
Something like that would be mad. Or actually, no, my dream collab would be probably with an F1 team.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot more brands over in Europe do it with F1 teams, like with Red Bull or Aston Martin, and so yeah, I think something like that would be pretty cool. And the F1's obviously getting pretty ritzy now and pretty stylish, so something like that would be pretty cool.
And they do have that close collaboration with Red Bull, so you're probably
exactly
halfway there after this Friday.
After this event, we'll see. I do keep hinting and be like, are we going to make something happen? But we'll see. I think you've always got to aim high with those things and see what happens.
And with Puma, you mentioned earlier that you worked closely with them. What do you do if you're not creating a collection?
With Puma? Yeah. Pretty much like so for example, we've got this fashion show next Saturday, and it's pretty much just like incorporating their brand into our own. So any shoots that we do or shows or like kind of just any content really, we try and I'll just hit them up or I think we've got a pretty good relationship with them now, and we'll just kind of tell them what we've got on for the next month or so, and they'll let us choose new shoes that have come out, and so we can style with them. And just because we obviously don't make shoes ourselves, so just incorporating their brand and their shoes into our own looks as well, so because they complement each other quite well. And then the goal would be in the future do actually something proper with them, which I think is very possible. It's just harder because in Australia, we're pretty small in comparison to the, I think, global scale of these companies. So there's just a few more hoops to jump through to make those things happen rather than, let's say we're in Europe and you're dealing directly with the head office over there. But the team there are so nice and they're very generous to us, and I'm very grateful for the support they give us.
And you obviously have a lot of exciting things coming up, but what has been a big moment in the history of 5 by Flynn so far that has been the wow, I made it kind of moment, or the moment where you thought, I can keep this business
Keep it going.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a I've made it moment. I don't think we've ever really made it, but definitely opening the store like in Paddington, that was a pretty big move. And when I look back on it now, like we had just no clothes in here because it's almost about 3 years ago that the store opened, and time flies. So that was a pretty big moment. Obviously, Glassons, working with them, that's they're just working with their team and going to their office. You just see how established of a business they are. They've been around for over 100 years. So to be able to have someone like that, and hopefully, I was chatting with them the other day, hopefully we do another thing with them in the future, but just having a business like that, have trust in our brand and our designs, and I think it means we're kind of on the right track. And even brands like Oakley or Red Bull or people like that reaching out to you, because it used to be a lot of we'd reach out to companies to work for, but I think the more we do, the more inbound stuff comes, and it just kind of means that we're on the right track. I don't think there's any one moment of, wow, like we've made it, we're on the right track, but I think it's just constant small things and small reminders that these other brands want to work with you. It kind of means in their eyes that you're on the right track. And and I think the next 6 months looks really good. Our product's looking really good and just a lot more thoughtful, I think, than before. And there's a bit more thinking behind it.
And I guess with Oakley, you might have another Queenstown trip coming up.
Maybe.
Do some promo.
Maybe. We'll try and I'll send them this clip and try and convince them to let us do that. So we'll see.
Before we wrap, on the theme of Bevs with Celebs, if 5 by Flynn was a cocktail, what cocktail would it be?
Maybe a Negroni.
A Negroni?
I don't really know why, but I personally really like Negronis, and it's a bit more of like a refined taste. So then that's what we're trying to like kind of move towards. So that's kind of what I think. We're trying to be luxury, hopefully without the price tag as well. Like luxury, I'm not saying that Negronis are cheap, but a refined taste.
Yeah, I guess on that note, what direction are you hoping the brand goes in the future?
I think I want to keep our price points kind of where they're at. I think it's a reasonable price point. I don't want to be, I think we're sitting in an all right spot. Like if we were going any more expensive, we'd be competing against a lot more people. So the kind of like themes we're running with now is, and this has taken time, and I think really recently we've really kind of found our lane and what we want to do, and the person that we want to dress, or like our customer. And we're running with this theme of always in the pursuit of a good time. So any shoots or products or anything like that, like the idea is that you can wear them whilst you're on the pursuit of having a good time. And that could be anything. That could be like going out, because obviously that feeds into events as well. But like this track set, like maybe you're wearing that to go on holidays, to go somewhere else and have a good time somewhere. And that's kind of the theme we're running with at the moment. And I think that it'll stick around for a while. Because one thing I've found and I've learned as well, that whatever you think about at the start, let's say the direction for the business, like you can also change those ideas over time as the people in the business grow, and also like times change as well. So it's taken us however long to kind of get those themes out, which we're kind of doing anyway, but we've only just kind of putting it into words recently. So I don't know if that answers your question or if I'm just rambling on.
No, that answers it. And are there any other ventures you're going to be taking up, or is all your focus on 5 by Flynn?
Personally
or
in the business?
Yeah.
Not really. Eventually would love to do shoes, make our own shoes, but I just don't think we're there yet. We're doing this thing with Bobby, this healthy fizzy drink. got our own can coming out with them soon. So
That's so cool.
which would be pretty cool at most. So hopefully at most events, or let's say we have people in store, we can offer it to them. There's this room out the back there, which we're going to have set up as a waiting room. So there'll be a fridge there and people can help themselves. At the moment, no, just really trying to focus on growing the business organically and focusing on the product. And yeah, this last year was a year of like insane growth and just like trying to say yes to everything and do everything at once. And it was great, but it was also, it can just, I think we'll just burn out if we kind of try and do that all the time. So, yeah, at the moment, just focus on the product and keep growing naturally. And yeah.
Amazing. And to top it off, you've got the Negroni as your cocktail.
Yeah.
What's the garnish?
The garnish.
Yeah.
Can you give me some examples of like what other, maybe like a dried orange or
A
something?
dried
like that?
orange?
Is that yeah?
Yeah. I feel like it's very on theme with the color.
Oh yeah,
of
exactly.
Inspired by
I
Flynn.
wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Dried orange in a Negroni. What do you, oh, you do have oranges in Negroni. So there you go.
Yeah, I think you do.
There you go.
So far, we've had like chili, salt, one of those little bubbles that pop.
Oh yeah, nice.
But
No, a dried
not an
orange.
orange.
A dried orange, I think would be, or just a fresh orange. I don't know, but yeah, that does make sense with the brand colors. So that actually wasn't even on purpose. So
Yeah,
there you go.
subconscious.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
That's all right. Thanks for
Actually,
having me.
before we go, I just noticed this tattoo. Is
I
that
know.
a 05 tattoo?
Is that real? Yes, it is. I don't know if that's what you were gonna ask, but there was a tattoo artist at the Glassons events that we had to launch the collection, and I'd maybe had a few drinks, and me and one of my best friends, Charlie, got one as well. I think he's probably regretting it more than me. So, but I'm glad locked in. Hopefully the business succeeds. Otherwise,
love it.
bit of a random thing, but yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And
Appreciate
we'll do a
it.
final cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Better Beer.
Thanks, Better Beer.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Bevs with Celebs. We've got lots of exciting things coming up, so follow along on social media at Bevs with Celebs and comment who you'd like to see on the podcast next. If you're interested in shopping 5 by Flynn, I've linked his store in the show notes. Cheers!